Carter might be dead. And if he is, Dutton Ranch Season 2 could become the darkest chapter of the entire story. Because the last season didn't just end with Carter being kidnapped. It left his entire family standing on the edge of a war they may not be able to survive. Beth and Rip have no idea where their son is. Oriana is pregnant and grieving. Rob Will is dead. And Mariano has finally made a move that could turn everyone against him. But here's the question nobody can answer yet. Did Carter actually survive the kidnapping? Or is Mariano hiding something much worse? The Season 2 trailer could change everything. Because if Carter is alive, Beth and Rip are going to tear the entire world apart to bring him home. But if he's dead, this won't be a rescue mission anymore. It will be revenge. And that could put everyone in Mariano's path in serious danger. At the end of the season, everything seemed to happen at once. Rob Will was dead. Waqen was left completely broken. Oriana was dealing with the loss of her father while carrying Carter's baby. And then, just when Beth and Rip thought they might finally have some peace, their son was taken from them. That's why I don't think Carter's kidnapping is going to be a simple storyline in Season 2. Mariano didn't just take Carter because he needed another hostage. He knew exactly what Carter meant to Beth and Rip. He knew that taking him would hurt them in a way that almost nothing else could. And that's what makes this so dangerous. Because Beth can survive losing money. She can survive losing power. She can survive enemies coming after the ranch. But Carter is different. Carter became part of the family when Beth and Rip were finally trying to build something that wasn't based on violence and revenge. They were trying to give him a home. They were trying to make him understand that he belonged there. And just when Carter was starting to accept that, Mariano took him away. That is a huge mistake. Beth is not going to sit around waiting for the authorities to find Carter. She's going to search everywhere. She's going to question everyone. And if she discovers that someone inside Mariano's operation knows where Carter is, I don't think she'll stop until she gets an answer. But Rip could be even more dangerous. We've seen what Rip does when someone threatens his family. He doesn't make empty threats. He doesn't wait for permission. And this time, the person they've taken isn't just someone Rip cares about. It's his son. That changes everything. I think Season 2 could show Beth and Rip dealing with the kidnapping in completely different ways. Beth may want to find Mariano first. Rip may want to find Carter first. And that difference could create a serious problem between them. Because what happens if they discover where Carter is? But getting him back means making a deal with Mariano? Would Beth actually agree to it? Would Rip? And more importantly, would either of them trust Mariano to keep his word? I don't think so. That's why I believe the trailer could give us a major clue about Carter's condition without actually showing us whether he's alive. We could see Beth searching for him. We could see Rip following a lead. We could hear someone say that Carter is still alive. And then the trailer could cut away before we get the answer. That would be the perfect way to keep the mystery alive. But there's another possibility that worries me even more. What if Carter isn't being held by Mariano anymore? Think about it. Mariano has spent years manipulating people. He knows how to use fear. He knows how to make other people do his dirty work. So what if Carter was taken by Mariano's men, but something went wrong afterward? What if another enemy discovered where Carter was? What if Carter escaped? Or what if someone inside Mariano's organization helped him? That last possibility could connect directly to Waqen, because Waqen's story is far from over. After Rob Will's death, Waqen looked completely destroyed. And whether he actually pulled the trigger or simply knew what was going to happen, he now has a reason to turn against Mariano. If Waqen discovers that Mariano is responsible for Carter's kidnapping too, that could finally push him over the edge. For years, Waqen has been trapped between loyalty and guilt. Mariano wants control, while Waqen keeps struggling with the consequences of following him. But Carter could be the breaking point. Imagine Waqen secretly finding Carter. Imagine him realizing that Mariano plans to use Carter as leverage against Beth and Rip. And imagine Waqen making the one decision Mariano never expected him to make. He lets Carter go. That could completely change the power structure going into the second half of the season. Suddenly, Beth and Rip wouldn't just be fighting Mariano. They could have someone on the inside, someone who knows how Mariano's operation works, someone who knows where the bodies are buried, and someone who has finally realized that becoming Mariano's successor doesn't mean becoming powerful. It means becoming another prisoner. But there is still one question hanging over everything. If Carter is alive, why haven't we seen him? That is the mystery I think Season 2 needs to answer first, because Carter's fate isn't just about one character anymore. His kidnapping has the power to change Beth, Rip, Waqen, Oriana, and even Mariano. And if Carter really is dead, then Mariano may have just created the one enemy he can never control, Beth Dutton. And this time, she won't be fighting for the ranch. She'll be fighting for revenge. But Carter's disappearance isn't the only mystery waiting for us in Season 2. There is still one question that could completely change the direction of the story. Who really killed Rob Will? The finale wanted us to believe that Waqen did it. Mariano gave him the order, Waqen was seen afterward looking completely broken, and Rob Will was left dead from a gunshot wound. On the surface, it seems obvious. Waqen killed his own brother, but I don't think the story is finished yet. If Waqen really pulled that trigger, then Season 2 has a huge emotional storyline waiting to happen. Because Waqen isn't the kind of character who can simply murder his brother and move on like nothing happened. Rob Will wasn't just another enemy, he was family. And even though Waqen had complicated feelings toward him, there was still a connection between them. That's why his reaction after the shooting matters so much. He didn't look powerful, he didn't look satisfied, he looked broken. And that makes me wonder if we are supposed to question what we actually saw. Maybe Waqen was sent to kill Rob Will, but when he arrived, someone had already done it. Maybe he arrived too late. Maybe he saw the person responsible. Or maybe he was standing there because he knew exactly what Mariano had planned, but couldn't bring himself to stop it. Any of those possibilities could completely change Waqen's story. And there's another person who could know the truth. Mariano. He has been controlling people from behind the scenes for a long time. If he wanted Rob Will dead, he had plenty of ways to make it happen without putting all the blame on Waqen. In fact, making Waqen believe he had no choice could be part of Mariano's plan. Because if Waqen becomes convinced that he has already crossed the line, Mariano can control him through guilt. That's how Mariano operates. He doesn't just control people with threats, he controls them by making them believe there is no way back. But Season 2 could finally give Waqen a way back, and that could start with Bula. Bula already has reasons to question Mariano. She has seen how he manipulates people. She knows that power comes with a price. And if she discovers that Mariano ordered Waqen to kill Rob Will, their relationship could completely collapse. Imagine Bula learning the truth. At first, she might blame Waqen. She could believe that he willingly chose Mariano over his own brother. But then she discovers what actually happened. She learns that Waqen was being controlled. She learns that Mariano ordered the murder. And suddenly, the person she trusted most may become the person she fears most. That could put Bula in an impossible position. Does she protect Waqen? Does she expose Mariano? Or does she take control herself? Because Mariano has spent so much time preparing Bula to become his successor. But I don't think Bula is going to accept that role forever. At some point, she has to realize what Mariano really wants. He doesn't want a successor. He wants someone who will continue doing exactly what he tells them to do. And Bula may finally decide that she doesn't want to become him. That's where Waqen could become important. For the first time, Bula and Waqen could have the same enemy, Mariano. But there is a problem. They may not trust each other anymore. Bula could believe Waqen killed Rob Will. Waqen could know that telling her the truth could put both of them in danger. So they could spend half the season fighting each other while unknowingly moving toward the same goal. And then comes the reveal. The moment when Bula finally discovers what really happened to Rob Will. That could be one of the biggest scenes of the entire season, but I think there is an even bigger question. What if Rob Will's death was never supposed to happen the way it did? What if Mariano wanted him dead because Rob Will discovered something? Something about the ranch, something about the family, or something about Carter's kidnapping? Because if those two storylines are connected, Season 2 suddenly becomes much bigger. Maybe Rob Will discovered Mariano's plan before he was killed. Maybe he knew Carter was going to be taken. Maybe he tried to stop it. And maybe that's the real reason Mariano wanted him gone. If that turns out to be true, then Rob Will's death wasn't just revenge. It was the beginning of a much larger plan. And Waqen could be the only person who knows enough to stop it. That's why I don't think Waqen's story is going to end with guilt. I think his guilt is going to become the reason he finally turns against Mariano. At some point, Waqen will have to choose. He can continue following Mariano and live with everything he's done, or he can betray the man who controlled him for years. And if Carter is still alive, that choice becomes even more important. Because imagine Waqen discovering that Carter is being held somewhere and realizing he has the chance to save him. That would give Waqen something he hasn't had in a long time, a chance to make one decision for himself. Not for Mariano, not for power, not for the family business, for himself. And if he saves Carter, Beth and Rip may finally have a reason to believe that Waqen isn't their enemy. But if he fails, then Mariano could lose the one person who still knows how to get inside his operation. And that could lead directly to the biggest conflict of Season 2. Because while Beth and Rip are searching for Carter, Bula and Waqen could be preparing to destroy Mariano from the inside. And Mariano may not even realize it until it's too late. But there is still one person who could make everything even more complicated. Oriana. Because while everyone else is fighting over Carter's life, Oriana is carrying his child. And what happens to her could change the entire future of this family. While Beth and Rip are risking everything to find Carter, there is another story developing quietly in the background. Oriana is pregnant, and honestly, I think this pregnancy could become one of the most emotional storylines in Season 2. Because Oriana isn't just waiting for Carter to come home, she's waiting for the father of her unborn child. And right now, she has no idea if she'll ever see him again. At the end of Season 1, Oriana had already suffered an unimaginable loss. Her father was gone, Carter had been kidnapped, and the future she thought she was going to have suddenly disappeared. She wanted to leave with Carter. She wanted a new beginning. Instead, she was left alone with a secret that could connect two families forever. Carter's baby. And that changes the stakes completely. Because even if Carter survives, things will never go back to normal. Oriana is going to become a mother. Carter is going to become a father. And Beth and Rip are going to have to deal with the fact that their family is about to grow in a way they never expected. But before any of that can happen, Oriana has to survive everything happening around her. And that's what worries me. She's under an incredible amount of pressure. She's grieving, she's scared, she's separated from Carter, and she's carrying a child while everything around her is falling apart. I wouldn't be surprised if Season 2 begins with Oriana trying to stay strong while secretly falling apart. She may tell everyone that she's fine, but she's not. And eventually, that pressure is going to catch up with her. There could even be a moment where she begins to wonder if Carter is still alive. And if she loses hope, she could make a decision that changes everything. What if Oriana decides to leave? What if she believes Carter is never coming back and decides to protect herself and her baby by disappearing? That would create another massive problem for Beth and Rip. Because they wouldn't just be searching for Carter anymore, they would have to find Oriana too. And if Oriana leaves with Carter's child, Beth may become desperate to keep that baby connected to the family. But Oriana could see things completely differently. She might believe the Dutton world is too dangerous for her child. And honestly, who could blame her? Everywhere she looks, there is violence. People are being manipulated. Family members are turning against each other. And the people with the most power are often the people causing the most damage. Oriana may eventually realize that having Carter's baby means her child could become another target. And that could make her run. But there is another possibility. Oriana could lose the baby. I don't think the show would include this pregnancy without putting it through serious emotional pressure. And with everything happening around her, a tragedy could be coming. If Oriana loses Carter's baby while Carter is still missing, it could completely destroy her. And imagine Carter returning home only to discover that his child is gone. That would be devastating. Carter might blame himself. He might blame Beth and Rip. He might even blame Mariano. And suddenly, the boy who was already struggling to understand his place in this family could become consumed by anger. That could completely change Carter's character. But there's another reason I think Oriana's pregnancy matters. The baby could become the one thing that brings everyone together. Think about it. Beth wants Carter home. Rip wants Carter home. Oriana wants Carter home. Even Waqen could want Carter alive if he is planning to turn against Mariano. For once, all these characters could have the same goal. Find Carter, bring him home, and protect his child. That could create an unlikely alliance. Oriana could become much more important than anyone expects. She may not be the strongest fighter. She may not have the power that Beth has. But she has something Mariano may not understand. She has information. She knows Carter. She knows what he wanted. She knows where he was planning to go. And she may know things about Carter that Beth and Rip don't. That could make her essential to the search. Maybe Carter left something behind before he was kidnapped. A message, a location, a clue. Something only Oriana would understand. And that could be the key to finding him. But here's where the story could become really interesting. What if Carter wasn't kidnapped randomly? What if someone wanted Oriana's baby too? Because if Carter's child is connected to the future of the family, then the baby could become a bargaining chip. Mariano could use the pregnancy to control Oriana. He could threaten her. He could make her believe that Carter's life depends on her cooperation, and that would put her in an impossible position. Would she sacrifice herself to save Carter? Would she betray someone else? Or would she finally decide that she has had enough of everyone controlling her life? I think Oriana's biggest transformation in Season 2 could be exactly that. She stops being the grieving woman waiting for Carter. She becomes someone who takes control of her own future. And if she does that, she could surprise everyone, including Beth. Because Beth may initially see Oriana as someone who needs protection, but Oriana might prove that she doesn't want to be protected. She wants answers. She wants Carter back. And she wants her child to have a future that isn't controlled by Mariano. That could bring her directly into the middle of the war. And if Carter is alive, the reunion between them could be one of the most emotional moments of the season. But don't expect everything to be happy. Carter won't be the same person when he comes home. Neither will Oriana. And neither will Beth or Rip. Because being kidnapped changes a person, and Carter may return with secrets that he refuses to talk about. Secrets about Mariano, secrets about Waqen, and possibly something that could expose the entire plan. Which brings us to the biggest question of all. If Carter is alive, where is he being held? And more importantly, who is really behind his kidnapping?